time for a feature presentation. Spoiler warnings. Alright, it's time for the next review. We're doing Hatchet 2. This is 2010. This is a sequel to Hatchet 1. And let's dive in.
On October 1st, the hunt is on.
What are we hunting?
Victor Crowley.
Adam Green's Hatchet 2. In theaters, unrated October 1st.
So the first thing I want to say, this movie starts immediately where we left off, and the biggest notice difference here is Mary Beth is played by a different actress. She's now played by Danielle Harris, which I think is the better actress.
Yes.
And you definitely, if you're a horror fan, you definitely know her. She played Jamie in Halloween 4 and 5, and she was in both of the Rob Zombie Halloweens 1 and 2. So we start where we left off with exactly, basically like frame for frame. And she eye gouges Victor, and after a burning, stabbing, shooting that worked, she manages to get away, and she's saved by Jack Cracker.
Jack Cracker.
Who takes her to his cabin. And I know you were telling me one of your favorite scenes was where it looks like she's about to drink some of his piss, but she keeps stopping. It's funny. One thing I didn't like about this film is I'm not really, it's not big nitpick, but like they did tone the comedy down a bit. The last one's 50-50, this one's probably, what do you think, like 20-80?
Yeah, 20 or 30%, not as much.
Yeah, but it's still good. You know, he's calming her down, and when she tells Jack that her father is a guy named Samson, he flips his shit and throws her out of his cabin, and he even pulls a gun on her, tells her she needs to fucking go. And when she leaves, he goes, and he turns out he has Shapiro's bag, Shapiro from the first film, and he pulls out a camcorder, and I have the unrated version. I don't know how the rated version goes. The unrated version goes, it's like 4 fucking minutes of him looking at this. And then you get, you get the 2 girls, Misty and Gina from the first film. They're flashing the camera, talking on film. And then you get a couple other girls flashing. And then you find out that Shapiro's kind of a pedophile because he's following a little 14-year-old girl to Wayne.
She even says it. She's like, dude, I'm 14 years old.
Do you know who that is?
No, no idea.
So, that girl he was following around is in Victor Crowley. She plays Rose in Victor Crowley.
Awesome.
Same actress, and it's the same character.
Awesome.
So that's a little foreshadowing. That little girl does come back in the 4th film. It doesn't even tell you that. I found that out by doing my research. After like a ridiculous amount of screen time looking at porn videos, this is a little long, fellas. Victor Crowley shows up and just destroys Jack Cracker. He pulls his intestines out and strangles him with it till his head blows out. I don't know if scientifically possible, but it was cool as fuck.
It was one of my favorites. I love the Jack Cracker character. He keeps teasing about drinking the piss. Then poor Mary Beth keeps taking it to her lips and to her lips and to her lips, and you're about ready to drink it. She always stops for a second.
Yeah.
But that kill on Jack Cracker, it's one of my favorites. Like you said, you rip his intestines out, choke him until his head explodes.
For me, it gets the bronze medal of kills in the movie. My 3rd favorite. I can't wait to talk about the silver medal and the gold medal later on in the film. So Mary Beth heads straight to town, and before Jack Cracker died, he told her to talk to Reverend Zombie, and that's where she goes immediately. And this time, Tony Todd is there, and instead of a cameo, he's actually one of the main characters in the film, which is great. He brings her in, and Dwayne, we get a little Easter egg here. I don't know if you saw it on the TV. There's people on the news report on TV. Now this is a. Have you ever seen Frozen?
Yes.
The ski resort?
Yeah.
So, director Adam Green directed Frozen right before Hatchet 2. And on the TV, well, one of the main characters from Frozen, Parker, is, you can see that she's settling a lawsuit with the ski resort on the TV. I thought that was a nice little Easter egg. Mary Beth is asking Reverend Zombie all these questions about her dad, and he goes into another backstory on Victor Crowley. This one's a little bit more elaborate, and here's how it goes. We start back. Victor has a wife who is very ill. So they hire a fine-ass African-American lady who's a Cajun and a local nurse. And apparently Thomas thought she was fine-ass as well, because soon enough, Thomas, Victor's father, is fucking her in the next room. And the next room with only a fucking thin wall between him and his dying wife. So this goes on for a year. And then on Thomas's Crowley's wife's deathbed, they're sitting there, and then as soon as she dies, they start like making out. Like, I shit you not, like as soon as that woman dies, they start making out. Like, couldn't y'all just like waited a few minutes? I mean, they might as well just be fucking on her corpse. But turns out smoochy time came a little too soon, because she rises back up and she puts a curse on the Cajun nurse Lena. She puts a curse on her unborn son Victor Crowley. And 9 months later, Victor is born. He is deformed and ugly, and a face only a mother could love. Turns out not even that good, because his mother literally dies at first sight of looking at Victor Crowley. And then we kind of get another flashback to what we got in the first one. They even brought back my favorite scene from Hatchet 1, the tater scene. I like how taters are the one thing Victor Crowley can't viciously murder. It's the one thing he can't kill. And the only thing we get from the old flashback is we find out that the 3 kids that were throwing the firecrackers, one of them was Samson, Mary Beth's father, and we find out that one of the other ones is her uncle and some mysterious third person we don't know. And they're the ones who burned the house down. Also in the scene we find out that the boat Sean was driving in the first movie belonged to Reverend Zombie. And I like how Adam Green kind of like planned the trilogy out ahead. Man, he kind of knew where he was going. There's some trilogies you can tell they don't. Like the newest Star Wars trilogy, they didn't know where the fuck they were going. They were just going. And a couple other trilogies you could just tell. Like I think the newest. Well, I know. Well, the new one's coming, but the 2018 Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. I felt like they didn't know where they're ending with that one either. But this trilogy, he kind of had a plan from start to finish, so he kind of knew where he was going with that. I kind of liked that. Which was cool, and you find out that he was part of the first one. During this scene, one thing did bother me as they're talking. Danielle Harris's eyebrow was going fucking crazy. Like, I don't know, look at it. It looks like she's doing the people's eyebrow the whole conversation. It drove me fucking nuts. Mary Beth wants to go back to the swamp. She wants Reverend Zombie to take her back in the swamp. And he's like, hey dude, this guy's a repeater ghost. You can't kill him. And then she blackmails him. So then he agrees to go. I was like, what the fuck? He just told her she can't do it. And then somebody goes, okay, I'll go. He tells her to bring her uncle, and he'll set up a crew. So she leaves, and he yells down for his assistant Justin, who is played by Perry Shen from the first movie. He's playing Sean's brother. I love they brought him back.
Yeah.
He was Sean in the first movie was one of my favorite characters. It was funny, and they brought his brother back, which I kind of wish they would have done more with him, because I loved Sean in the first movie. And I also heard in an interview he was doing with Chris Jericho. He's saying that he goes, the reason I bring him back is because he brings up the crew. He's got great morale. He's great. Plus he's one of his best friends. So he's like, I like to bring him back. And so they bring him back, and I kind of wish he had more to do with Hatchet 2, because he was a pretty big character in Hatchet 1, and I loved his character. In this movie, he doesn't do as much, but he does have a couple great moments. We'll get to that later. And Reverend Zombie tells him to go, he gives him a list of people to go get to bring, and that's what he does. One thing, before we head to the next scene, one thing I want to mention, the acting between Tony Todd and Danielle Harris was great. Of all four of the Hatchet movies, this movie I think had the best acting in it.
Yes.
Danielle Harris killed it. Tony Todd was killing it too. He was like, he was bouncing off of her. He was crying from her story. And also the flashback, Kane Hodder killed it again. I think those three, their acting, I think was probably the best part of this movie, was just their pure acting. So we go back to Mary Beth. She's nudie in the shower. The reason she's facing the way she's facing, I found this out from behind the scenes, her tattoo, and it looked like she was wearing some shorts. So he had her flip her around, and when she gets out, her uncle shows up. Uncle, I almost said Ben, looks like that's the wrong Peter Parker. Uncle Bob shows up. Uncle Bob is played by Tom Holland. Funny thing about this, when I was looking, I watched this on Vudu, and it has cast and crew on it. Tom Holland is actually the Tom Holland who played Spider-Man in the current Spider-Man universe. His picture is on there. I was like, no, that's the wrong Tom Holland. But it's like all the way back to Psycho 2. I was like, I don't think the Tom Holland in the picture of is not old enough. He wasn't even been born yet. And yes, he also did Fright Night. He also was in. He's also a director and an actor. He was also in The Stand, and I didn't know this, but he was also a voice actor in a couple episodes of the Pink Panther cartoon.
Really?
Yeah. I was listening to an interview with him recently. He was talking about he's been acting for a while. Alright, let's move on. So, Uncle Bob tells her that, hey, Reverend Zombie's con man, do not do this. This is a bad idea. Just leave it be. And she goes, okay, Uncle Bob, I'll leave it be. And she's like, can I have 1 hour to rest off? He goes, okay. And she goes immediately to Reverend Zombie. So now we get the big meeting. Reverend Zombie has gathered up all these fishermen and hunters in town. And one of my favorite things about this scene is you get Justin. He's introducing everybody, but instead of a Cajun accent, he has a French accent, which I thought was hilarious. If I ever do a fucking horror movie, I'm going to hire Perry Shin, because he's like the highlight of each movie. Alright, so I got like 50 new characters and actors to go over, so let's bow them down and tell who's who. First up, we meet Trent. He's played by R.A. Milhoff. Is that how you say it?
Milhoff, I think so, yeah.
Milhoff. He played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, which I loved. He was in Pumpkinhead 2 and Trancers 3. He is the special guy on Reverend Zombie's list. Specifically, Justin had to bring him in, he really wanted this guy. This was like his go-to guy. Next we meet Leighton and Avery. Avery is played by Alexis Kendra. She was in 2018 horror film The Cleaning Lady and the romantic comedy Valentine's Day, which came out the same year as Hatchet 2. And Leighton was played by A.J. Bowen. He was in Creepshow 3, House of the Devil, Chillerama, and a horror film I recently watched and enjoyed, Satanic Panic. There's a lot of actors in Hatchet series that are in Chillerama. I believe his best friend, Adam Green's best friend, directed that film. That's probably why he knows a lot of them. Leighton and Avery seem to have a romantic past, and she seems to be more of a stalker of his. And Leighton is here more to help him get money for his marriage. He's about to get married to another woman, so he's there just for the money. And Avery is there trying to help rekindle their relationship. Also, there's another Easter egg. On Leighton's hat is the same symbol on Ben's shirt, which is the logo from a Newberry comic book store in New England. The comic book store that the director Adam Green went to a lot. Also the fourth movie, they even say it. That's where it's from. But yeah, I love that they have the Ben symbol from his shirt is on his hat. Next up, we meet Vernon. He's played by a comedic actor, Colton Dunn. Yeah, he's been in a crap ton of comedy shows from Mad TV to Key and Peele, Parks and Rec, but mostly guest roles. But he did have a bigger role in the recent show Superstore, where he played Garrett. We also have John, who doesn't speak at all in this movie. John is played by a famous stunt man, much like Kane Hodder. But he's done some acting. He was in Ground Zero, Dark Wolf. But stunt work resume outshines his acting work. He's done works in films like House 2, Death House, Naked Gun 33 and a half, and all 4 Hatchet movies he did the stunt work in. Alright, we're almost done. I got 2 more people to talk about, and then we can move on to the plot. So, next up we have a redneck asshole Cletus, played by Ed Ackerman. Not a whole lot on him. He hasn't been in a whole lot. He was in Frozen, Adam Green's other film. And finally, we have Chad, played by David Foy. He hasn't done much either, but he was in Hatchet 3 and 4, playing different characters every time. So, Reverend Zombie offers everyone $500 if they go in the swamp and help him get his boat back. And an additional $5,000 if they kill Victor Crowley. And the second he mentions Victor Crowley's name, 80% of the people in the room leave. Except for the fuckers I mentioned before they stay. Oh, a nice little Easter egg is as one of the characters says, "Hey, who's Victor Crowley?" And this guy goes, "Oh, he's a local boogeyman." And the guy's like, "Oh, like Jason Voorhees." He goes, yeah. And then the Easter egg ain't over. He goes, I come from a town called Glen Echo, where we have another boogeyman called Leslie Vernon. And any true horror fan is going to know that is from the movie Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Great Easter egg. So we head on over to Honey Island Swamp. Alright, so they're on the boat, and at this point, they kind of did what they did on the first one. When they're on the bus, they kind of spent time on character development and talk, and having the characters interact. So he knows who. They do that here, but to me, I felt like it fell flat. Unlike the first one, to me, I didn't think that they did it as well. Like the first one, I had my opinion on each character. Here, I didn't really care about any of the characters. The only ones I really liked were Mary Beth and Reverend Zombie and Justin, just because he was in the first Hatchet. But the rest of them I really didn't give a fuck about. And Barton sang a song about biscuits and gravy, which was improvised. Didn't do a whole lot for me. Dwayne, what you think about this? Did you like the characters?
You learn a little bit more about Trent a little bit on the boat, kinda, and some of the others are talking about their names. Like one guy's name's Cletus, and the guy looks at him, starts laughing, says the other guy's name. He's like, I bet you get your ass kicked all the time in school. And they're like, yeah.
My name's Chad, my brother Skip. He goes, I bet you guys get your ass kicked a lot.
Yeah, Skip and Cletus. And it tries to give you a little bit of, trying to like individualize the characters so it's not all the same person, kind of like. Yeah. But it's not that great, that part.
Yeah. So they make it to Honey Island Swamp, and let's see if they made better decisions in Hatchet 2 than they did in Hatchet 1. So the first thing they do is they all split up, and I shit you not, they fucking Scooby-Doo split up right here. All the main characters literally went on one big group, and then all the fucking they're gonna die characters split up in groups of 2. And watching behind the scenes, Adam Green said his main goal was he said he got one of the biggest complaints he got wasn't enough killing in Hatchet 1. And so he goes, okay, so basically I think he just basically got instead of killing off each character, let's just double them up. Yeah. That way we get 2 kills in one. That's what they did here. The group splits up, and here's where shit goes down. So let's start off with unimportant group 1. We have Cletus and Chad. Cletus and Chad go back to the boat, and they I guess they're going to go alligator hunting. And so about 50 minutes in the movie, this is where our kills start. And just like in Hatchet 1, once the kills start, it doesn't end until the credits roll. So as they're sitting there, Victor Crowley runs out of the bushes and tackles Chad to the ground and beats his face in with the top of the hatchet. Now the Hatchet 1, even though the movie's called Hatchet, he only gets one kill with the hatchet.
Yeah.
And that was Jim, the dude from Minnesota. So we already started off with a great hatchet kill. Love that. And then Cletus tries to get away on the boat. Victor throws him off the boat and jams his head into the propeller blades for a very vicious kill.
It's a good one.
Unimportant group number 2, we have Layton and Avery, who, even though he's married, they decide to fuck. And this is hilarious and great at the same time. As they're having sex, Avery's like, "Do you love me more than Jesus?" And he goes, "Oh, that's really inappropriate." And his father's like, "Yeah, okay." And as he's having sex with her from behind, Victor walks up, cuts his head off, and dude's fucking, his body's flailing. And she's like, "Oh my God," she's loving it. And then she like looks back and sees, Victor Crowley's there. He just cut the dude's head off. And then she tries to crawl away, and Victor uses his hatchet, and he makes her pink and stink one, and cuts her right down there. And she's like, holy shit! As she's like leaning up, he stabs right to the chest, and when he rips the patched out blood splattered on the tree, it's fucking awesome. That gets my silver medal kill of this movie. What you think?
It's a good one. Like you said, it's funny how they get killed and everything. And I originally thought that when he was trying to pull it out of her chest, he'd get like a breast implant or something stuck on it, like they do in Scary Movie 1. That's what I thought was going to happen. When he rips it out and that blood goes splattering everywhere, there's a lot of it. It's really good. I liked it.
Fun fact, when I was listening to the interview on Talking with Jericho, he said that one of his, the people with broom mics,
Yeah.
he said that one of the person doing the broom mic quit. And not because of the kill, but the "Do you love me more than Jesus" line. The lady who was doing it did not like that and left the movie. So I thought that's kind of cool little thing I got from the interview. Then we have unimportant group 3. We have Vernon and John, who are just kind of chilling out, smoking. And Victor comes out with this fucking huge ass chainsaw. And apparently that thing weighed like 127 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, and somehow they line up perfectly, and he puts it under their groin and lifts up, cutting them in fucking half. Very vicious kill. Kills them both. On the behind the scenes, the John, he told him, he goes, he talked to the actor who played Vernon. He goes, "Hey, have you worked with Kane Hodder before?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Huh." He gets him a cup. He goes, "Where's this cup?" He goes, What? Are you sure?" He goes, "Where's the cup?" And he said after they filmed the scene, he goes, "Dude, thank you."
Kane Hodder's a big guy.
Yeah. And so that was a pretty cool kill too. Now we got all the unimportant characters killed back to back to back. Let's jump back to the main characters and see what they're doing. We have Reverend Zombie, Mary Beth, Justin, Uncle Bob, and Trent. And so Reverend Zombie tells Justin his plan, because Justin's asking questions like, "Hey, what's going on?" He knows something's up. Reverend Zombie tells him that Uncle Bob, Simon, Mary Beth's father, and Trent were all friends. And they were the 3 kids who burnt down Victor Crowley's house down as they were growing up. And then they have, once they kind of hear, they hear people screaming, Justin pisses himself, everybody's freaking out. Uncle Bob and Reverend Zombie tell Justin and Mary Beth they need to go hide in this back room. And they go do so. And as they're hiding, Justin tells Mary Beth the Reverend Zombie's plan. And she's like, "I ain't gonna have none of that." So she runs back in the other room and to confront Reverend Zombie about it and warn Uncle Bob. And Justin, is scared to death. He uses a chair to prop up where no one can get in the room. And in a Scooby-Doo fashion, Victor Crowley's in the room with him. And he kills Justin in a very gruesome manner with another belt sander.
Yeah.
That thing comes in handy. He uses the belt sander in all 4 films, and this is where he uses it here. Gives him a little, brain implant there, and kills Justin. And we get back to the main group, and then Mary Beth's screaming screaming at Reverend Zombie, and as it's going down, Victor breaks in the room, and Trent and Victor get in a big fight. It's kind of nice. This is a Leatherface versus Jason fight. I thought this was great. They kind of, Trent's kind of older guy, so they didn't do a whole lot, but they did enough to make it's kind of cool.
He's still a big guy in real life, so him and Kane Hodder fighting, pushing each other around is two big guys fighting. It's a good fight.
Yeah, and but at one point, Victor Crowley just walks up, kicks his fucking leg, breaking it, and he falls to his knees, and then oh my god, and then he pushes Trent's head against the table and kicks the back of his head, launching the top half of Trent's fucking head on the table, sliding it. That gets my gold medal of Hatchet 2 kills. This one was my favorite. What do you think? Is this your favorite, or do you have another one?
This is a favorite. It was tough because when I first saw Jack Cracker get killed, I thought, oh, nothing can top this.
Yeah.
And then we go along, and as we get a little further on, the guy who gets his face in the motorboat motor, I was like, oh, that one's a good too. And then when we get poor Trent getting killed, and I like Trent's character, I was like, oh, now here it goes. And his head just going across. He got curved onto that table.
Oh my gosh.
It was good.
Yes. I think Hatchet 2 as a group has the best kills overall.
Yeah.
The others, all of them, each one has great kills, but as a group, this was definitely the hardest one to pick the favorite.
Yeah.
At this point, Reverend Zombie, he grabs Mary Beth and holds her, and then he locks in Uncle Bob. He shoots the door so Uncle Bob can get out, but the wood looks like it's made out of fucking plywood, so he should be able to just kick that fucker in, but he doesn't, and he's like, this old man's like, fuck it, I'll fight Victor Crowley, and you don't see the fight, but you do see blood splatter everywhere, so obviously he didn't do good. So now all three kids who killed Victor Crowley by burning him down are dead, and Reverend Zombie's like, yes, the curse has been lifted, and Mary Beth tells him, hey, my uncle died years ago. That was just a family friend. Yeah, so there's a famous line in each Hatchet movie called, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Ben says it in Hatchet 1, and in Hatchet 2, Reverend Zombie says it when Victor Crowley comes out of the shed. I just love that. And then I'll tell you another two when they can pop up.
Yeah.
One thing I don't get is he brought her out there, and the curse is lifted, and she's like, I want to tell everybody what you did. He's got a gun, and I don't know why she just didn't keep her mouth shut. He goes, okay, I guess I'll kill you. And then why don't you just leave her in there with Uncle Bob to get slaughtered? But I don't know. Anyway, she comes out, or Victor comes out, and Reverend Zombie, which this is another thing that didn't make any sense to me. He knows he's a repeater ghost. He knows this thing didn't work. And as soon as Victor Crowley comes out, he goes, ah! He charges to fight Victor Crowley. Like, he knows he can't beat him. His one plan just failed, and he charges at Victor Crowley. That made no sense to me. It did not fit his character. But they're struggling a bit, and Victor Crowley starts hacking him in half with the hatchet, cuts him in half like Darth Maul, lifts him up and pulls him out of his fucking skin and tosses him into the bushes. That is so fucking brutal, and it didn't make the top 3 kills of this fucking movie. De-skinned him. Also, I learned in the interview that they hired a little person to play him in the flesh. And Tony Todd kind of got a little upset that they didn't hire a black actor. And so Reverend Zombie's dead. Now it's just Mary Beth and Victor, and you're expecting a big fight, but Mary Beth just brings it. She beats the shit out of him with the hatchet, and then she shoots him in the fucking head twice. And this is where Hatchet 2 ends. Holy shit! This one. I thought I think this one, the biggest note of this one is it definitely got it's the most brutal of the 4.
Fuck you!
Whew. And that's Hatchet 2. Dwayne, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so personally, better kills.
Oh yeah.
More brutal. more kills. I really liked Hatchet 2. There's times we talk about, before we talk about sequels and not living up and everything to the originals. Hatchet 2 lives up to the original. I really enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed different aspects of it, the music, the intro to the movie. With the opening credits was the song "Just One Fix" by Ministry. I'm a fan of the band Ministry.
Yeah.
We got Danielle Harris in it now, and I think honestly, she's a better actor than the lady that played Mary Beth in the first one.
Yeah, I think it was a good trade up. I kind of wish they cast her in one.
Yeah.
But they didn't go that route. But I wish they did.
Yeah, they talk about that on the DVD in the back, in the little backstory stuff they talk about, special edition stuff. They talked about how they had so many known horror actors in number one that they could do without the main character, and then they hired her for 2 on because the main character, the main actress in the first one wasn't that great.
Yeah.
But I definitely enjoyed this one, and I'm going to give it a 7, just like I gave the first one. It's not a perfect movie, it's not a great movie, but for what it is, which is a really brutal, gory horror movie, a little bit of comedy.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the scene when they talked about Jason and Leslie Vernon.
Oh, yeah.
I popped up when I heard that. I was like, hey, I know the Leslie Vernon movie. I love that movie. So they had some good callbacks in it and everything, and I enjoyed it, so I'm giving it a 7.
Here are my pros and cons to Hatchet 2. Pros. The backdrop looks much better. They fixed that, my complaint from the first one. The acting is great. It's my favorite of the whole series, especially from Danielle Harris, Tony Todd, and Kane Hodder. The gruesome kills are back and better. A horror icon dream team. Here are my cons. I think the character development takes a big dip compared to Hatchet 1. Kind of has time-wasting moments. Like they spent a lot of time on Shapiro's porn collection. I don't feel like the random biscuits and gravy song really hit well for me. There's a couple moments I feel like they could have cut and used it for better time. I'm giving Hatchet 2 7 people's eyebrows out of 10.